This is an emergency broadcast of Stranger Than Fiction News. We have just received the most shocking document leaked that anyone will ever see in their entire life. I hope people are ready for what we are about to show you. And with a little luck, people have seen this but haven't understood what they were looking at. We received this document yesterday, and we kind of skimmed through it at first, and we were like, oh, well, this seems to be a Clinton Foundation consultant kind of report, and we're gonna it's chilling, folks. You're gonna want to sit down for this. It's gonna be worth the 3 minutes that it's gonna take me to get to the point where you're just gonna fall out of your chair. So here, we'll just kind of start with here. They kind of did a poll, a sampling. This is what consultancies do. And then basically here's the overview. Hillary flash crashed at 12% favorable rating, losing anywhere from 19 to 77% nationally. It says here, at this point, Donald Trump has both momentum and enthusiasm. Distrust in the mainstream media is blunting the impact of the collective polling narrative. It goes on to say, as Election Day approaches, Hillary's favorable rating has crashed to historic lows, 12% in partisans, and Donald Trump is consolidating support quite nicely. So, basically, I mean, we'll try and leave a link to this after this report is done. You can see this for yourself. This is something that has just been released and is circulating, but it's devastating. In any case, here's just kind of like a quick resume of what they discovered. And these dates are very recent, all the way up until the 13th of October. And so, they were asking, Clinton mind made up. This is kind of like the percentage. That's the trend. Clinton mind could change. Pretty steady there. Trump mind made up, way above 50%. Trump mind could change, and they bring up some pretty good points. There are some super questions that they were asking. I don't know if we'll get through that in any case, but it seems like a very legit polling, and it kind of feels like it reflects what people are thinking. And this is what the mainstream media is trying to hide from you in one point, but this isn't the big news, okay? This isn't the big news. Just hold on. You just wait. In any case, this is basically telling the Clinton folk that they've lost this election big time. Huge landslide. And so now we're going to get to, these are some of the questions that were asked, for the Democrat-leaning people, if possible. Would you swap Hillary for, I would keep Hillary, Jill Stein, Bernie, etc., and you can see the percentages. And so this is kind of like an overview of the questions that they were asking during the sampling. And then we're just going to get to, okay, so here is like the non-recommended salvage options. So they're trying to save the campaign. And so they've got a few operational scenarios, and this is where you're just going to go, wow. Just wow. So here's scenario number 1, Red Dawn. Support is too widespread. While a Red Dawn scenario using UN forces and Canadian border infiltration would be effective in shutting down northern voting, it would simply delay the inevitable and result in hardened support for Mr. Trump. Risks, loss of property and life. So this is what people would consider a false flag, a Red Dawn operation. Again, the header here was the Clinton Foundation. If this doesn't get out into the mainstream media and just like, make it out there for everybody, but just wait. I mean, hold on. Operation number 2, Cobalt Rain. The public has been primed for radiological attack, and stockpiles have been positioned. But while the psychological impact of a C-60 Cobalt-60 weapon, radioactive cobalt, the threshold of opportunity may have passed for this to stop a vote. You never know. They're going to be so desperate. They're looking, and imagine for them to propose things like this. I mean, this is the kind of thing that they're into. Like, you just give the word and they'll make this happen, kind of thing. Some people order pizza over the phone, but these people are ordering cobalt rain. I think people are starting to get the picture here. Operation number 3, BL Riot. Again, while staged, civil unrest could prevent pockets of Americans from voting. The damage is if the damage is too widespread. I guess we didn't do the risk for cobalt rain. Loss of money under martial law. Leaks could compromise. Oh, there could be leaks. Or maybe they're thinking of some other kind of leaks. Okay. So the drawbacks of the BL Riot. Command and control is dicey. At this point, substantial numbers of employed minorities have defected to Trump. Okay, Zekepocalypse, an improved strain of Zika has been delivered, and we have disseminated them to operatives. You know, you kind of have to wonder if I mean, this is almost like too good to be true. It's like an orgy of evidence, and it's kind of like the Project Veritas tapes. Maybe they were being funny there, but maybe not. I don't know. And it goes on, you know, basically, you know, different types of scenarios for false flags. Here's an unnatural disaster. HARP is in skeleton crew mode. Subterranean thermobaric devices in fracking mines, you know, are untested, but they have technology. We've seen other papers talking about explosives at, you know, key points to induce seismic activities, among other techniques. This seems pretty interesting. We haven't made it this far in the report yet. We just kind of looked over it, and we weren't even going to come back on this evening, but this was just, you know, too much to sit on. So we kind of wanted to give people a heads up. As far as the hold on, Project Sanguine here. I don't know. We have to do a little more research on, you know, this seems to be some kind of laser, and what they're going to shoot with it is has yet to be determined. But it seems to be a pretty legit paper. And it definitely merits some investigation. However, you know, obviously it is seems too good to be true. However, this you know, this is quite a bit of work, even if somebody was going to put this together as a joke. And it's, you know, and the page format is pretty nice. So I guess, you know, this is obviously worth looking into. Oh, this is a Project Bluebeam device. Oh, that's what this is. You know, and I think, yeah, I think we saw something like this in a headline, and we were like, nah, man, nah, no way, you know. But this is some pretty good stuff. If anybody, you know, has any way of verifying this, there's a telephone number on this document, seems like. But not sure if I would give them a ring here. In any case, it seems like there isn't any conclusion to this document beyond these non-recommended scenarios. Although here the recommended thing is you know, basically fake an invasion. So, that does seem a bit much. But perhaps this does seem to make the most sense considering the other options. This would definitely stop the elections, and perhaps, this could be the big one. This could be the big one that everybody's been suspecting. Like, people have known that this technology exists, and that basically they're just waiting for an event. But I think people would be pretty suspicious. Obviously, oh look, it's election day, and all of a sudden this happens. So, but it may just be kind of like it doesn't have to be a full-blown invasion, but just like a major appearance. Like if all of a sudden they just made it look like there was a ship for everybody to see, and there was like millions of videos of it, so people could say like, oh no, that wasn't CGI'd. Look how many videos there are, and everybody saw it and everything. It'd be like kind of like a new age 9/11. But you could see that scenario play out. Like, you got one flying from New York to LA, or something. Or it's just like happening in New York, and it's just like everybody sees it. And it's instantly on like every news channel, and it's breaking news all day, and they're like, oh no, hold on, and it might be like the day before or something. But that seems to be the recommended solution here for the obvious loss. And it's kind of funny that they wouldn't mention just like plain old election rigging, but perhaps like that's part of the decoy. We don't know, and we're not sure what to say about this document other than if it is a hoax, it's pretty elaborate. And if it was going to be a hoax, you'd think it'd be like kind of like a 1 or 2 pager. But this would have taken somebody at least a whole day just to kind of set up the format, plus another day to write out the script. It's not impossible, but it looks pretty good for a fake. It's definitely going to make the rounds, to say the least. But some very interesting scenarios, and I think like even if this was fake, it kind of confirms what people are thinking, given what they've been able to piece together in the recent false flag attacks. And this is something that goes back to all the way to the Gulf of Tonkin and the uptick or the mission creep in the Vietnam War. And people have been getting the same kind of stuff with the current extended conflict in the Middle East. Everybody knows who's been supplying the terrorists out there, and they're running for re-election. So right now there's a genocide in the Middle East, and they're running for re-election, and they don't think the public is buying it. And it could very well be that this is an authentic document. But even if it's not an authentic document, there's a good chance that there's a document similar to this in their possession, given what we know about the kind of things they're into. Again, we would just kind of point people back to the Project Veritas tapes that had people on tape saying that they were on the low end of implementing a plan of domestic terrorism against Americans on American soil, because that's what violence for political gain is. It's terror. So we're dealing with terrorists. We know that, and they have been basically busted for putting together false flag events. We know that, right? So when they were beating people up at Trump events so that they could start a riot, right? That's kind of like a false flag attack, because they went on TV and they said, "Oh, look at the the deplorables," right? Look at the deplorables. Look how they act. They're racist, and they're the ones coming with hordes of who knows who to start to beat people up and stuff. So I guess, this doesn't seem so incredible given what we know. Had this been like from the Green Party, I think people would have kind of like, raised some eyebrows. But given this is coming from the the Democrats, it looks more and more probable. And so there it is, folks. They got Red Dawn, Cobalt Rain, BL Riot, Zeke Apocalypse. Coffee must be good over there. Sharia Escalation and Unnatural Disaster. It kind of reads like a game from or a card from the Illuminati card deck, and that's exactly what we're dealing with. So try and get this out to people. We'll leave a link to this document in the description. It's Ron Johnson from Stranger Than Fiction News, wishing you and yours the very best. And if you're listening to this, you are the Resistance.